My brothers keep a show, I gotta let them know. Tuesday, 7 p.m., gotta let them know. 3 M's, mint and model, gotta multiply. God gets all the glory, hands in the sky. My brothers keep a show, I gotta let them know. Tuesday, 7 p.m., gotta let them know. 3 M's, mint and model, gotta multiply. God gets all the glory, hands in the sky. My brothers keep a show. Introduce the host. My brothers keep a show. Introduce the host. That's the Dr. Michael Green.
Hungry yet? Come on over to Peru's Chicken, where we're cooking up mouth-watering Peruvian-style dishes like quesadillas, tacos, burritos, yuca, arroz con mariscos, camarones a la parrilla, charbroiled chicken, fresh salads, and so much more. Our friendly staff at both of our locations, Lanham at 9001 Annapolis Road in Lanham, Maryland, or Mitchellville at 12106 Central Avenue in Mitchellville, Maryland, we are ready to serve you. Just come on in. Y claro que sí, hablamos español. Peru's Chicken. ¿Tengo hambre?
Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to the greatest show on this side of greatness. Of course, it is My Brother's Keeper, where greater men continue to make men great with the spirit of excellence. It is Tony the Tiger Terrific Tuesday. It's great. And sitting alongside me this evening, wonderful 80-degree weather in Washington, D.C., it's Dr. Bryan Champion. Before we get started, just want to welcome Dallas, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Texas, Raleigh, Durham, and Winston-Salem, North Carolina, New Jersey, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. area, Virginia. Of course, on the West Coast, we have Pomona, California, as well as Ontario, California, and the leadership of Bishop Jelani Kafela, the Imani Christian Cathedral Church. Thank you for your support. Also, a great big shout out to Bishop James B. Walker, the presiding prelate of the 7th Episcopal District of the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church. Thank you on your support. Also, safe traveling mercies as you travel to Nigeria, Africa. Also, the call-in number tonight is 301-429-9247. 301-429-WBGR. Also remember to like and share, and you can also watch us on Roku or download the WBGR app on Fire Stick. Just want to take a pause for the cause and just say thank you for your support and tuning in every Tuesday at 7 p.m. And watching My Brother's Keeper for the past 4 years. Wow.
4 years.
4 years. Thank you. You have watched us transition from the studio, to a new studio, and even possibly this summer it's going to be a different studio as well. But we definitely appreciate you catching us, liking the show, sharing the show, and we just encourage you to continue to like the show and share it with the men in your life and also the women. We definitely thank you for watching, and it is also for you because you love the men and to encourage them as equally as well. But 4 years. And I believe also we are the longest running show on WBGR Network. And it could not be at all possible without you. So we thank you for your continued support. And we're God thankful to just continue to serve an audience that continue to show up Tuesday after Tuesday due to relevant information. Go ahead, Dr. Chan.
Man, I was just thinking as you're talking about 4 years, how quickly 4 years have gone by. I remember when this was in the infancy and you were just preparing to birth it.
Yes.
And you hadn't even aired your first show yet, but you were talking about it and getting us all pumped up, and then seeing you ride down the street with in your car with the signs, "My Brother's Keeper, 7 p.m." Getting people ready and everything. But it's just hard to believe that it's been 4 years. But they say time flies when you're having fun.
Amen.
And it's been a fun journey, as I believe you have ministered in a very serious and significant way.
Amen.
But in also an opportunity to make it fun for your listeners and fun for others to want to be part of this ministry and part of the My Brother's Keeper network.
Amen. One thing that I will say, it has truly been it almost brings me to a place where I cannot even articulate the words of just being able to just really share that it is so powerful when God is able to give you a vision and you are able to birth it and allow it to manifest from the spirit, from what you hold in your spirit. And it manifests to the natural where people can actually receive it or see it, or it manifests, and people are able to see what God has birthed in your spirit. And that to me is just something that I'm God thankful for.
Well, I think it's a testimony, as you say that, to how important it is to be obedient to God's vision, and to when God puts something in your heart, to move on it. And so what we see now are the fruits from your labor of obedience, and for your love and for your passion of a ministry that God has given you. And there's others out there saying, "Man, I would like to do this show, or I would like to do this." And I say, if God is calling you to do that, then I say step out there, because we need more people who are going to stand up and profess the word of God. Yes. We need more people who are going to be obedient to the will of God and to what God is calling them to do. But if God is calling you to something else, I would say don't try to do what Dr. Green is doing. Do what God has called you to do, and to be faithful to that vision and that mission that God has placed in your life.
Amen. And bring your passion. Whatever your passion is, it'll shine through when you begin to articulate it to the audience.
And sometimes we struggle through things, and then all of a sudden when we hit that place where we have alignment of our passion and obedience to God's will, all of a sudden it feels like all the shackles come off of us, and all of a sudden now we're able to exceed our own expectations.
Come on, somebody.
And the vision that God has given us, we often say, we say, I would have never imagined that it was going to end up like this. Just because we didn't believe that God, that we could do what God had called us to do. But when we're obedient to it, we find that it's never a problem to continue to do the will of God, and that God blesses us with abundance.
Yes. Just as you're talking, you're sharpening my iron. And one thing that what came to my mind was now unto him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we can ask or think, according to what? The power that is within us. So when I took and I gave God the little I had, he took it exceedingly and abundantly above all that I could ever think, and he's continuing to do that. And so just in a place of being submitted to the power of God in my life.
That's right. Oh, I mean, scripture is all over the place with this one, Doc. I mean, because when you start thinking about, God giving you a vision, God giving you a work, and you could have planted it and said, God, I don't want to waste it, so I'm going to plant it over here in the corner. But it was because
you're going to keep pushing the envelope, right? You're going to keep pushing the envelope, right?
Because you harvest it. It becomes double. And so, that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to push it no further.
You reap what you sow. The law of reciprocity, reaping and sowing. And one thing that I must say is that we have to do the work. We have to do the work. And so therefore, there's labor involved. And so oftentimes people just see us come before the camera and on air, boom. But no, they don't know the time that it takes. And the help along with Miss Beverly Session, and how you have to deal with her, time in, time out.
Oh yes, sir. Well.
No, that was a joke.
You're gonna be in
Miss Beverly. Miss Beverly is right here, guys. So just thank you for all that you do. Beverly, you have been a godsend, and you have sacrificed, and you have exceeded what I have even some of the things that I've even asked, and even joining your gift and blessing.
That's right.
It is, and you help keep Dr. Champion on point, and
isn't that a wonderful thing?
You just give me a little push or nudge, but with Dr. Champion, it's all hands on. I understand.
But you know what? The thing is also what you recognize that My Brother's Keeper has been what it is because it has been a team effort.
Yes,
teamwork. And it has been individuals working together to make it happen. And some of the players, have changed over a period of time, but they still have contributed significantly to, help us arrive to the place we are today on this 4th year anniversary.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can recall starting the show, and we had Pastor Kevin Richardson. He's gone on now. He is Bishop-elect Kevin Richardson. Kevin Randolph Richardson. And I'd like to give him a shout out. And of course, Elder Ernest Richards definitely have come in and been a blessing and helped shift and the work of My Brother's Keeper. And, it's just been phenomenal. And along with all the guests that have been a part of the show. But then we have, Dr. Champion that came in and, lending your gift and your talents. And just God thankful for the people that God is surrounding me with and the gift. And it just doesn't stop there, because everyone have their gift to be propelled and catapulted into new dimensions.
Yes, that's
so it's not just about the Mike Green and My Brother's Keeper. It's about, everyone honing their craft and being catapulted into their gifting as well.
Well, I tell you, I honestly will say it's been a blessing to be here with you for the last little over a year. I would have never imagined being a weekly spot on this.
I can only imagine.
It's been a blessing to me to have the opportunity to share, and I thank you and Sister Sessions for inviting me. And and I got to admit, I was hard-headed at the beginning, because you kept trying to get me to come on and be a guest, and I kept finding all kind of reasons why Tuesday nights didn't work and so forth. And then finally,
when I left you alone,
I remember I called you one day. And I said, "Hey, okay, you want me?" And you was like, "You ain't gonna be on the show." I was like, "No, seriously. I gave you a date." And I said, "That's what I said." I said, "All the other times I never gave you a date." I gave you a date and a theme.
This time.
But this time I gave you a date and a theme, and I came on, and it's been a blessing.
Amen.
And the funny thing is how, when you're being obedient to God, how at one time I couldn't find enough time in my schedule to give you one Tuesday.
Yes.
And now this year you get 40 Tuesdays.
Without a contract.
That's right.
Without a contract. But no, seriously, you have been a blessing to the show as well. And you give a different perspective, and definitely God is truly blessed, and I'm God thankful to have you here.
Well, thank you. And I'd say to you all who'd like to see us go to Year 5, like and share. And those of you that like to see us go to 5 days a week, remember the hashtag is MBK, 5 days a week. We're trying to put that vision out there, that if that's what God has called us to do, that we will have the
MBK 5 days a week.
We will have the resources and the ability to continue to do that. Because somebody can't be there on Tuesday night. But if we were on Wednesday night or Thursday night, they'd be happy to tune in.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Amen. God is raising up someone with the power, the ability, and the influence to help assist and aid us in this thing called ministry. So God thankful. God thankful for that. Amen. All right. The book authored by Joseph Deck III, Reverend Joseph Deck III, Meditations to Improve the Lives of Men. I tell you,
before you go there, can I and I don't mean to interrupt.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
But can I just, because I had a special Black History fact today.
Okay.
in honor of your 4 years of hosting the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, drum roll, please.
Now, for those of you who know Michael Green, this radio was not something new for him. You know, he was a radio personality before My Brother's Keeper. You know, working on XM radio and some other venues. And we always laugh about the time when he was introduced once, and someone said, "Oh, this is Reverend Michael Green. He's a DJ." And you know, Reverend Green kind of said to him, "Yes, I just want to let you know that I'm not a DJ. I'm a radio personality." So I've always teased him about that, and I always respected the fact that that's right. He wasn't scratching no tunes. He was bringing information. He was helping people. He was bringing dialogue to people, and there's a difference between that and, you know, scratching. And so you know, we want to recognize you in the prominence of how you have been a radio personality. But you're not the Black History person today. But
I was waiting.
I was waiting. I wanted to talk about somebody who we think of as laying some of the foundation as a radio and TV personality. Most of us growing up watched him on Saturday afternoons. You know?
Is it Moon Man?
Oh, no. Channel 20. That used to come on real late at night, didn't it?
Yeah. Well,
but yeah.
32.
But he was a local star. But nationally, we had our man. He's the guy that made everybody want to grow an afro. He just had the deep voice. He was so smooth. And we could not wait to hear him say, "Soul Train." Mr. Don Cornelius. We just want to recognize him today as a person who was one of the first African American TV radio personalities, and who also was very influential in the shift of how American society began to see black entertainment.
Yes, come on, Doc, come on.
So, but you know, early part of life, he was born in Chicago, what they call the South Side. And after graduating from high school, he joined the U.S. Marines. So he served the country, spending about 18 months actually in Korea. After coming out of the military, for a little while he tried a couple things. He sold cars, he sold tires, and he sold insurance. Then later even became a member of the Chicago police force. But with $400 in the bank, 2 children and a wife, he quit his job with the police force and signed up for a 3-month course in broadcasting. Later that same year, after finishing the broadcasting course, he actually got a job on a Chicago radio station as a DJ, as a news and a reporter. But it was because of that, you know, we're talking like 1966 at that time, and you know, the civil rights movement coming along. He was very conscious of the fact that there was no African American footprint on television, and so he began to you know, develop what then later became Soul Train
format
as a format in order to introduce America to soul music, to African American lifestyle. It was his campaign, and I found this interesting. It was his campaign under Soul Train that started the movement of Black is Beautiful. And from that campaign, you know, there was a whole new pride in black culture. But there was also a growth in white America, or dominant society, regarding African American culture. So this was our first time that we began to see African Americans cross over into mainstream American life in entertainment. So we just want to recognize him for that, because we remember him, and he hosted the show from 1971 until 1993, and continued to be the executive producer of the show for several years later when Shamar Moore and others hosted the show. But he did it for over 20-something years. And really, and as I was looking at it, just finding some information, I kind of think I remembered this, but it was due to his health that he actually stepped away from being the host of the show. But he still was very instrumental. There's a show out now on cable TV, and I haven't had a chance to see the show, but I flipped through the channels a couple times, and it actually goes into a lot of the behind the scenes pieces of him running Soul Train, and how he became a very strong influence in black business with Soul Train as well. So I just want to recognize today on your 4th year anniversary
Thank you,
as the My Brother's Keeper host, 4 years, but many years as a African American radio, TV personality, Dr. Michael Green. You stand on the shoulders of, Don Cornelius. So
where my tissue at? Where my tissue at, man? You're getting me misty-eyed, brother. You're making me. I'm honored to be able to stand on the shoulders of such great men, even as we talked about Bob Johnson as well, Don Cornelius, and those black pioneers. So again, I'm honored, and I just want to be able to not damage the integrity of what has been laid before me, so that I can do what I'm supposed to do with that baton as I'm running with it.
And you're opening channels for others as we dialogue in these men's topics and discussion points, that you're giving others the platform to share their gifts. And as we have brought in several brothers over the past month who have came in and shared their books. And I guess that kind of segues us right back into
the Reverend Joseph Deck III book. And he is
man, wasn't that smooth how we did that?
Absolutely, man. Just the baton, baby. It only took 4 years.
Yeah, man, but we getting it.
It only took 4. All right. It only took 4. Listen, this book by Reverend Joseph Deck III, Meditation to Improve the Lives of Men. It has been, as one of the pioneers in the industry, Don Cornelius would say, a stone gas. Week 2 is so powerful. Can I just read it? Just a few excerpts of this, man. It says, when a man's ways please the Lord, he makes even his enemies to be at peace with him. That's Proverbs 16:7, New King James Version. But the Message Bible reads, when God approves of your life, even your enemies will end up shaking your hand. Good God Almighty. And he goes into this whole piece, of people pleasing. And so, and when we people please, we detach ourselves and move away from pleasing God. And that takes you out of the purpose of what God has created you to do in the earth. Because we've all been created to exist for a reason. So God is created, so we seek the advice and the information from the Creator instead of creation, and then we begin to do that thing that ignites passion in other people. You know what I'm saying? So when we turn around and please people, we become so detached from what God has created us from, and we wonder why our lives are in a shamble. Why we're so confused, why we're going through so many unnecessary challenges. Because even as a person of purpose, we're going to face challenges, but we know that all things work together for the good of them that love God, that are the called according to his purpose. So I am more than a conqueror, so I will overcome the challenge. But being detached from your purpose will oftentimes lead you to anxiety. It will lead you to trying to find other ways to soothe your soul and try to cope with life circumstances. But this particular week 2, he has 52 weeks in here. And this is so powerful because, again, he's week 2 of April, man. It's he mentioned that he wrote this book in the place with he and God, and he said he wrote it with the oil of worship. I said, good God Almighty, brother, I was reading last week, and I literally felt the anointing of the oil on the book. And I said, and I had to call that brother and let him know, I'm God thankful for your writing this Meditations to Improve the Lives of Men. And if you can, please go get this book. If you can go get it at Reed Temple AME Church, and it's in their bookstore. And he broke down how he did not want to do Amazon because he wanted to distribute it through Reed Temple, through an African-American source, so that when people came to purchase it, they had to get it through, a black distributor. So, on point. Hat goes off to this brother, man. Meditations to Improve the Lives of Men. Did you want to say something about that?
I enjoyed when he was here the other week, and the portions of the book, I have to admittedly say that I have not been obedient about reading the weekly meditations, and I should be ashamed of myself because they're very short reads, but they're powerful reads. They're a page and a half, 2 pages, but they're powerful reads. But I just want to say something about what you were just saying also, in how, when a man has the approval of God, how the enemies kind of fall in place. And as we think through our lives, a couple of things we have to recognize is that sometimes people aren't our enemies, and that we place them in an enemy status only because we are competing for the same thing. And once we recognize that God has enough work for all of us to do, then we realize we don't have to compete for the same work. Sometimes we recognize that God has ordained this person to do that. And God has also ordained you to do this. And so once we recognize that and we accept that, then we can shake a brother's hand and say, my God, that was for you.
There's some good God Almighty stuff.
And I think back, and I'm not going to say anything in particular because I think people will know this, but there's been more than one occasion in my life where I have sought something. And as I sought it, someone else sought it. And people have tried to make us enemies to one another because we were seeking the same thing. And I can remember on both occasions, someone else got it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I also remember after they stepped into the role, that I sat there and I watched them, and I saw the blessings that they were able to do in those jobs. That I actually said, you were the right person for this opportunity. And that acknowledgement doesn't say anything about who I am, because God has had some things for me that neither one of them could ever step into those shoes.
That's right.
The other people.
You were the man for the job.
That's right. And so we all find that day. If we stay faithful to the vision and the will of God, and it goes back to this My Brother's Keeper show, and your vision and your desire to do it. When we stay true to those things that God has given us.
Hallelujah.
We find that it's okay for somebody else to do the work over there. Because you know what? I got my hands full with God, what you have given me right here. And if I can just be faithful with that and do what I'm supposed to do with that, I got my hands full. And I don't need to be meddling. And nothing. You know what? 9 times out of 10, when somebody meddling in your stuff, that means they ain't taking care of theirs. Because if they were taking care of theirs, they wouldn't have time to meddle in yours.
And whatever we mismanage, we lose.
That's right.
Whatever we don't manage, we lose. We cannot be effective in what God has told us to put our hands to if we don't manage it effectively.
Like that third servant who buried it.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to bury my giftings, brother, my seed to what I'm supposed to be doing.
That's right.
Because, the blessing is taking it and sowing it and watering it and doing what's necessary to allow it to develop.
Yes,
into
sir.
the necessary fruit, brother. This could go on and on
No,
and on.
no,
Man.
and
When a
I'm just
man
saying-
ways please God.
That's right, and that's right. When a sister too, and a sister,
when a woman,
when you do what God calls you to do, it just seems like obstacles start falling down and out your way.
you start get the understanding to the why to the what. And you navigate, right through, ordinarily the traps or obstacles to stop you. It only help you to prepare you to leap over it.
That's right.
And you see which way to go. He gives you understanding through the whole process, which is very powerful. When a man ways, please God.
That's right. And I say, be ready. So, because when you line up with God, be ready. Because God's going to give you more than you can handle.
Well, you have to bring in others to help you.
That's right.
Come on, somebody. Then you become the blessing.
Right, because you don't want to be like Moses and stand on the top of that mountain and try to do it all by yourself.
That'll cause you to get angry.
And it caused folk to get angry at you. And Jethro gave good counsel when he said to find people who are just like you. Mm-hmm. Find people who believe the beliefs that you believe in, who have the values that you believe in, who honor God and who trust God, and then give them as they should so that they may handle those matters at this level while you handle the things that God has asked you to handle.
Goes back to the show about
See,
goes back.
God did not create micromanagement.
Yes. It's crazy. Because if you as you said before, if you're so busy trying to micromanage me, then what do you have going on that you need to be tending to?
That's right.
It's not being tended to, and you mismanage it and you lose it.
All right, I'm gonna stop because I know this is only an hour show.
Okay, yeah. Well, hence the hashtag MBK show 5 days a week, ladies and gentlemen.
3 hours a day, 5 days a week.
3 hours a day, 5
Hey,
you
that's
keep
what
that envelope.
Donnie Simpson has 3 hours a day. Well, he does fill some of his time with music.
You think? But no, that's not a hard thing to do because I think
singing.
Dr. Champion, she don't mean singing.
Right, yeah.
Y'all singing.
Oh, I sing. But I'm gonna get ready to go right into what we're supposed to be doing.
Sir. Yes,
because
sir.
now she want to get technical and start putting us on the show now. Okay. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, have you heard of the First Step Act? First Step Act. It was 2019. It is a criminal justice reform program about mass incarceration remains one of the greatest civil rights issues of our time. The United States has the highest rate of incarceration in the world, with more than 2.1 million people locked up in prisons and jails across the country, including a disproportionate number of black and brown Americans. Now, this is what we really want to talk about tonight, how this act will help our brothers and sisters or Americans to further them along, or is it really a hindrance? Because again, some of the things that we're going to discuss tonight, it's really going to have you kind of scratching your head, like when I start going through some of this information. So, you know what? If you know a brother that has been incarcerated, if you know someone who need to listen into this show, please like and share. Please like and share, because I find oftentimes many of us will have gone through the prison process, but it's like we'll turn a deaf ear once we come home because we don't want to associate with it. But could it be the very reason why we were incarcerated that God wants us to help someone else to avoid those same pitfalls that we were unable to? Okay, the First Step Act, the criminal justice reform bill that Congress approved in December, backed by a broad coalition ranging from the American Civil Liberties Union to the Koch Koch Network. The First Step Act in the Koch brothers. The Koch Network. The First Step Act includes provisions reducing some federal prison sentences and allowing incarcerated individuals to qualify for early release. And the First Step Act only applies to those held in federal prisons. It does not help nearly 90% of the incarcerated population in state and local facilities. So really, it only helps and aid federal prisoners. So while they're getting time reductions, your state and local prisoners are still in a standby mode, in limbo, and still facing all of the time that they were given due to a lot of the erroneous laws that were erected during the 80s with the mainly the three strike law. So what do you think about that, Dr. Champion?
Well, and I recognize that, it has to start somewhere. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I think that we have to look at is that, federal law started stepping in many ways when they didn't feel like, especially in the Washington, D.C. area, the local government was handling certain crimes. And so they started stepping in saying, okay, when federal offenses occur in the District of Columbia, and oftentimes you're on federal property.
Yes.
So we're going to start coming up with these laws that were a little stronger, and it was affecting our African Americans, as well as they made drug laws in Washington, D.C. federal crimes.
Okay.
And so you started having these mandatory minimum sentences. And so we started seeing a lot of our African American young people being incarcerated. So I think it's very important when you look at it from that perspective that the federal government is taking a step back.
Yes. Yes.
And if this begins to work, because one is they may have been exceeding their jurisdiction or their sphere of influence by coming in and placing some of these laws in effect that disproportionately were used against young African American men. So I'm glad of this first step, recognizing that it doesn't address the nation at this point. Hopefully, we'll see that trend occur. But one thing we also want to look at, and it's just this whole thing of incarceration. And I don't know if you've ever seen the movie 13.
Yes,
and
documentary.
Right, and that whole piece of of jail and prison being a way of continuing to force slavery.
Yes,
and in many ways. And so the movie title 13 was based on the fact that the 13th Amendment abolished slavery. However, it abolished slavery under the conditions of everything except one. And the one condition was if you are incarcerated, that now you can be enslaved. And so we really have to start watching things of that nature, because when people are operating under the wrong influences or the wrong motivations, we still can see the injustice of certain activities being hitting our communities in unfair proportion, because people intend to, this is going to be my way to continue to enslave minority individuals, to enslave individuals who are not of the highest socioeconomic status. And so we have to be very careful about how laws are used in these cases. And so fighting and pushing for programs like this are very significant.
Yes, I absolutely agree. And I think that it must extend beyond the federal. It must extend beyond the federal and to where it enter into your state and your local institutions, so that they can also be benefactors of this ruling, this act. It's I think we should be contacting our congresspeople and pushing this to make this a state because again, my brother's keeper, we are come on in different markets.
That's right.
So not only in the DMV area, but we're talking about, say, Connecticut, we're talking about Florida. And one thing that even through the incarceration, what has been happening through incarceration, a lot of people have been stripped of their right to vote. But many of the returning citizens today, they have been restoring their right to vote. I know Florida was one, and Maryland was one as well. But over in Vermont, did you know you would be incarcerated and you could still vote?
And have you been to Vermont?
Well, have I been to Vermont? I've had their syrup.
Okay, I actually was in Vermont, and for 2 days I didn't see anybody look like me.
Exactly.
So they still ain't letting black folk vote, even though they're letting folk vote from prison.
Okay.
Let me just say this.
Okay, let's see. I'm gonna see. Let's check what Vermont's prison rate is. Give me 1 second. Go ahead.
And while you're saying that, I'll just say this. And you were saying that we have to reach out to our congresspeople. What we really have to do in these cases are reach out to your state legislators, because they are the ones who we have to put the pressure on to make those changes within the states. And by doing that, and we can point to the new federal law and let our state legislators know that we support this effort, and we would like it to also be implemented in our states.
We have 1,290. 1,207 of them are males. 83 are women, which brings us to the total 1,229. Wow.
In the whole state?
Yeah, in the whole state of Vermont, yes.
That's why they won't take it away.
That's why they won't take it away.
Does it give any racial demographic?
Yes, it does. Absolutely. Keep talking while I find
I'd like to know how many of that 1,200 are African American.
Okay, well, we're going to get right to it. No, it's not for the state.
Okay.
I'm sorry, we don't have it for the state. Not for the state, but 1,229 as a whole. Wow. And we have Florida. They're incarceration.
1,229 in the 5th D.
Okay, 100.
I'm just saying. All right, I did pick my neighborhood, so I don't want anybody to think I went out there on anything.
Read Florida, please.
All right, Florida's number 3.
You see it right here?
Yeah, it's 101,424. Of that, 94,481 are male, and 6,943 are female.
And that's an increasing problem. Women, it's an increasing problem as well. Increasing challenge where you're starting to see an overwhelming amount of women incarcerated.
And let me just say this also, just for our reference point, is that these are statistics from 2015.
15 and 16.
Well, what I just read was 2015.
Okay. Yeah, but the numbers only went up because of the challenges, because of the erroneous laws that need to be repealed. So if you want to repeal something, repeal these laws that incarcerate African American, brown, Latino, Hispanic population at an alarming rate, at a disparaging rate, more than our white counterparts. So let's repeal those laws and put them on the state and local levels instead of just a federal. Also, when we look at Washington, you see Washington, D.C. down there? District of Columbia?
I do not.
You do not. Okay, let's, Georgia's 51,700. Ohio's 52,233. And Texas, 157,251. These are some staggering numbers. And just to think of some of the 3 strike laws that was enacted under Clinton, administration, how many in the cocaine and the crack law, how now they went to change, the law makes retroactive the reforms enacted by the Fair Sentencing Act of 2010, which reduced the disparity between crack cocaine and powder cocaine sentences at the federal level. So this will affect 2,600 federal inmates. So here you have someone get caught with crack cocaine, someone get caught with powder cocaine. The one with crack cocaine was charged a harsher sentence as opposed to someone with powder cocaine. And that in that they are repealing this, 2,600 federal inmates will be affected by this repeal. And I just think it's a start in the right direction. But I also think that we all need to get in a place or a position where we need to start with our legislation. So, and that's with our politicians. So once we begin to connect with our politicians and push these things and put some feet to it, I think that we can get them on the state levels.
I agree. We need to begin to lobby our state officials.
Absolutely.
And make them aware that this is a subject of interest to us.
Absolutely, because right now you see a lot of pharmaceutical companies, lobbyists that are down there on the hill, man, and they getting bills passed left or right. So it's like, man, we don't really even know they passing all these other drugs down. We don't even really know what we're getting. It's bad enough that we're getting we think we're taking some for a cold, but we come out with diarrhea and lower heart rate and blindness. So yeah.
no, but you're absolutely right. I mean, and and I can say this for the state of Maryland because I'm aware of a few things that has happened in Annapolis. They have lobby days, and various organizations will go to Annapolis to meet with state representatives in order to begin to make this state legislators aware of their concerns and their agenda.
Yeah.
And so that we elect you, so you need to be aware of the things we want you to pass and to
Absolutely.
vote down.
Absolutely.
And so, but we only can do that if we participate in those lobby days in our state capitals.
Yes. Maryland has 20,408. Of that number, 19,540 are male and 868 are women. And again, women are being incarcerated at an alarming rate as well. The law takes several steps to ease mandatory minimum sentence under federal law. It expands the safety valve the judges can use to avoid handing down mandatory minimum sentences. It eases a 3-strike rule, so people with 3 or more convictions, including for drug offenses, automatically get 25 years instead of life, among other changes. This is under the First Step Act program, so that when every federal prisoners, all of their cases are being reviewed. So someone who was, I'm sorry, go ahead.
You asked about Vermont, black versus white. 175 are black or African American that are incarcerated in Vermont. And that would be 1,491.
How many was it altogether?
A total of 1,735.
How many was black?
175.
175. So,
And there's 200 black people in Vermont.
so that's 25.
And half of those people who in jail, black people in jail from Vermont, were just on their way to Maine. You just get caught on a speeding violation on your way up to Maine, trying to go get some lobster. They lock you up and put you in jail, because they ain't got 200 black folk in Vermont. They don't. Anybody from Vermont, if y'all watching the show, text us right now.
They're trying to go get some lobsters.
Let us know how often you get stopped by the police.
But at an alarming rate. An alarming rate. And, yeah, at an alarming rate.
That's why I only eat seafood now.
Nothing to do with allergies or anything?
I have allergies too.
Okay. Okay.
Definitely
So,
ain't
and
going
also,
to
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Also, the law increases good time credits that inmates can earn. Inmates who avoid a disciplinary record can currently get credits of up to 47 days per year, to cut their prison sentence by an additional week for each year they're incarcerated. So they have programs within the program to help lessen the sentence for inmates. But again, I'm just a bit baffled because why is it not affecting the state and the local level?
Right. And the unfortunate thing is, I believe that these long sentences were given for the wrong reason. They're given in order to deter people from committing crimes. They're not given to keep people who are negative society away. Mm-hmm. Now, there's certain crimes that should keep mm-hmm. people. I mean, they should not be placed back in society. But a lot of the mm-hmm. crimes that people are committing receive the harsh sentences they are, not because they shouldn't be released back mm-hmm. into society, mm-hmm. but it was we made these mandatory sentences to scare you away from going to jail.
Okay.
And now individuals got caught up in these types of things. Some of them didn't get grandfathered. They already had committed 2 crimes. So that third one, mm-hmm. They get busted on. And all of a sudden now they have these very long sentences mm-hmm. that are inconsistent mm-hmm. with people who have committed very similar crimes over another period of time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. I think that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Brother Smokes, only blacks in Vermont are on the military bases.
Okay. Thank you for joining, Brother Smokes. Pastor Valeria Everett, thank you for joining in. Blessed and highly favored, thank you for checking in with us this evening. Sister Tarina Winbush Williams, Reverend Carr, Monique Carr, thank you for checking in. Sister Wanda Briscoe, and Pastor Daryl Burton, thank you for checking in. Sister Tony Session and Sister Francelle Price, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Now, here's a question. Does this go far enough? Does these programs, do the First Step Program Act go far enough? One of the other programs within the program is the school. They are the drug programs within the prisons that they have developed and help men and women while they are incarcerated. But the question is, does it go far enough? I don't think it does.
Again, it's a start.
It is a start.
Hopefully, we are able to use this as a foundation for building a platform to increase awareness to others about what this program can do if it's administered again on the state and the local levels.
Yeah. I think that it does. It's a start, but definitely we need to push this. Because again, when we look at our community, it's our brothers and sisters that are really are incarcerated at a disparaging rate. One thing that I will say is that the numbers and the stats that we have been reading from this evening, we're going to put those online to allow you to see these numbers. And sometimes when we see these numbers, and it kind of takes us and put us in with a reality check, I would say. It gives us a reality check because it gives us something to look at, and now you're accountable to the information or the content that you're reading. So again, we'll have this content on the thread before the night is over. No, it does not go far enough. It doesn't address many of the embedded racial and class disparities in our justice system. It deals only with the federal system, which is a fairly small part of the overall criminal justice system in America. Many are sitting behind bars simply because they are too poor to afford bail. Isn't that something? too poor to afford bail. Reform must also eliminate obstacles to re-entering and participating fully in society. Better educational and job training programs inside. So absolutely, I definitely agree that it's a start, but we need to do more, and we can only do more when we cause that more to happen. So when we speak to our legislators to put good programs in, computer literacy programs, and not just laborious jobs, but they can come out and have a job where they can take care of themselves and the family. Because I'm going to tell you something, if you don't help them on this side of the gun, you're going to meet them unfavorably on this side of the gun. Now, that's not a threat, that's just a reality. So I think that we all should do our part in helping a brother up, helping a sister up.
Well, and the truth of the matter is, there's a large number of individuals who commit criminal acts who are not bad people. You have about 20% of people who commit criminal acts who are just supposedly just bad people. Circumstances and other things contribute to individuals who make a decision to do wrong. If they were given an alternative, a way to have a life full of abundance that didn't require them to break laws, they wouldn't. And what we don't do as a society is open individuals' eyes and awareness to those other opportunities to have, successful, good lives that don't require. And we also have programs in place that hinder individuals. So until we're able to address those whole systems, we're going to have people committing crimes because all they want is their piece of the pie that people are stealing and taking away from them. And we need to put more money not only in the laws of how to handle prisoners, but how to offer people the ability to have whole and healthy lives. And that's something that our government is not always doing.
I agree. And I think the challenge that we face is more to it than just us talking numbers and giving stats. And so when we really go underneath, we begin to really see the problems that, again, as you stated, it's much deeper. It's much deeper. And if you can't eat, you can't provide for your family, you tighten that rein, and you're going to be forced to do something to survive. And that's what you have. Literally, a lot of times, that's what you have in our inner city communities. I'm not making any excuses. I'm not making any excuses for anyone. I want to be crystal on that. But oftentimes, when a man cannot, he will find a way. First law of nature is self-preservation. I understand I made mistakes, but oftentimes, this society is unforgiving. And I think that we need to really get in a place where we need to rehabilitate men for real, inside, so that when they come out, we have an aftercare system that's set up for them so that they can continue to thrive. Remember the story of Terrence Johnson?
I do.
And he went in and he was convicted, and he served, I think, 20 to 25 years. But then he came home. He even earned a Bachelor of Arts, and he became a paralegal, paralegal. And so no one would give him a chance. And then he had a program that was working to help him, but still no one would give him a chance. But then when he got a chance, then he fell through the cracks because, again, it was a very sad story. It was a sad ending to what could have been possibly a very inspirational and encouraging story. So when we fall back into certain elements. So, yeah, you got it, brother.
Now, I like I said, we do need to be talking to our lawmakers, and we need to be talking to our lawmakers about a lot of things. And that's how money is being funneled through our communities to ensure that we have the proper things to become educated, to learn job and life skills.
Yes.
And through that, we'll find that people will begin to see alternatives that are outside of criminal activity to survive.
Yes, sir.
So
yes, sir.
I just encourage you, your state might be one of those states that didn't have as many as some other states, but you still want to encourage your people, because we all got family members and children that we want to see grow up and have healthy lives. And it really takes, a strong commitment from our community to stand up to our lawmakers to let them know that these are our demands for our community.
Yeah. As we get ready to close, one thing I want to share is that, and this is part of my passion, and that's where I spent over 8 years as assistant chaplain in Upper Marlboro Detention Center, and it was hard to see a lot of lives that have been damaged and because of reckless living, reckless decisions. And so it's nothing like being able to be there for someone in the midst of their challenges and see them overcome. And that hits my heart. This is a very serious issue with me. It's touching because being on the front line, engaging in people's lives, seeing families broken, torn apart, but also on the flip end, seeing families come together because a community awaits a person coming out. So that's what it's really all about, as you just stated, a community collaborating, with, prisons, so that when these men are released, because ain't nobody else coming for us but us. If we don't make the choice to stand for our people, our family members, loved ones who are incarcerated, then no one else is going to stand for them. And so that's why we have to stand. We got to cause the change to happen. Amen. That's my heart, man. That's my heart. Hey, our time is up. We definitely thank you for yours. Remember, you can catch the rebroadcast of the MBK show on Mondays at 10 a.m. Remember, when good men stand together, they become greater and effect a community. I am my brother's keeper, and see you on the other side of greatness. God bless you. Thank you for joining.
My brother's keeper show, I gotta let him know. Tuesday, 7 p.m., gotta let him know. 3 M's meant to model, gotta multiply. God gets all the glory, hands in the sky. My brother's keeper show, I gotta let him know. Tuesday, 7 p.m., gotta let him know. 3 M's meant to model, gotta multiply. God gets all the glory, hands in the sky. My brother's keeper show. Introduce the host. My brother's keeper show. Introduce the host. That's the Dr. Michael Green.